Shalom, family. Shalom, shalom. All right. Hope everybody's doing well. We're going to go over the U.S. Census, and let's just put this out there. Since the U.S. Census has been in existence, they have always undercounted us. Okay, even when we had no authority over whether we wanted to be counted or not during chattel slavery, they were still undercounting us then. So how do you keep a population at 13% of the population since 1860? You keep fudging the numbers to make it look that way. That's what you do. All right. And that's what they have done to us. And you know, in a sense, it's kind of silly because they've always contradicted themselves. Now, when it comes down to getting the resources, we're always only 13% of the population, right? So that's how they keep you away from the resources. Well, it's not a lot of you. You don't need as many resources. But when it comes down to voting, our vote makes a difference. Now, wait a minute. You can't have it both ways. You know, we make a difference when it comes down to voting, but when it comes down to getting resources, all of a sudden, it's not enough of us. You know, we're only 13% of the population. But, you know, look, the same people that enslaved us are the keepers of the numbers. So enough said, right? The same ones that enslaved us and been lying to us all throughout history are the same ones keeping the numbers. So, you know, tread lightly on believing any of their numbers are going to be accurate. History tells us it will never be accurate. So, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost 100 people in here now, so we can go ahead and get started. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. All right. Please give me a 1 if you can see the screen. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now, like I said, it's been a long history of undercounting us. But you know what? I think this is actually a divine thing. And this is why I'm telling you guys this. You know, technically, when you look at the biblical text, the Most High never wanted us counted. He said we're like the sands of the sea. He didn't want us to be counted. And at one point in time, if you remember, King David attempted to count us and he got in trouble for that. So maybe it is a divine thing that any numbers they give us are never going to be right. Maybe this is all coming from our Heavenly Father to make sure they don't really get to count us right. And whatever numbers they put in, they just will fudge and make it an undercount. Because, you know, these are natural born liars. So this is what they do. So let's get into this story. There were 2 census takers, 2 women that came forward to the media and told that the U.S. Census supervisors told them to falsify the numbers. That's what they were told to do. Falsify the numbers. Just get the numbers in the system. They didn't care If the numbers weren't accurate at all, just get the numbers in there. This is what they were instructed to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, this story came out on the 8th of November. Fox News. Census takers say they were told to enter false information. 2 census takers told the Associated Press that their supervisors pressured them to enter false information into a computer system about homes they had not visited, so they could close cases during the waning days. And so we know this happens once every decade. They try to go out and do this head count on the US population. Maria Arce said, said her supervisor in Massachusetts offered step-by-step instructions on how to trick the system. She said she felt guilty about lying, but she did not want to disobey her supervisor. So she kept repeating that they were under pressure from a regional office in New York to close cases. It was all a sham. I felt terrible, terrible. I knew I was lying. I knew I was doing something wrong. But they said, no, we are closing. We have to do this, Arce said. At the time, in mid-September, the census workers were drawing close to a deadline imposed by President Trump's administration to finish a count by the end of the month. Remember, they cut it short, months short. And, and COVID was another thing they never anticipated because, they were trying to put commercials out there back in 2019 about the upcoming census and getting everybody ready for it. But at that time, when they were putting the commercials out, COVID did not happen yet. Indiana census taker, this is the woman that you saw in my avatar, Pam Roberts, said her supervisor pressured her into making up answers about households where no one was home. Roberts agreed to do it only for a day, making up information about 24 households before refusing to continue the next day because she believed it was wrong. She said she entered made up answers while in the car outside of the homes, since the mobile device used data entry that would track where a person was when making an entry. That's not what this is about. If it's not truthful, how can we use it? Roberts, who live in Lafayette, Indiana, said in an interview. So she said in a statement to the AP that the Census Bureau said it was looking into allegations that the agency did not provide further details. The census takers shared their experiences with the AP as a coalition of local governments and advocacy groups waged a battle with the federal court over the accuracy of the 2020 census. A lawsuit filed in California challenged the decision by the Commerce Department, which oversees the Census Bureau, to speed up deadlines so that the count would end in September. The coalition argued that the shortened timeline would cause minority communities to be undercounted in the data used to determine the number of congressional seats in each state. Well, they don't want us to have any congressional representative for the Black community. And, that's another reason why they keep saying we're 13% of the population. So we don't get those opportunities. This is why it's so easy for people to get into elective office. It doesn't necessarily have to be the president. It can be Congress. It can be your mayor and anybody locally too, that can justify why you're not getting represented in a certain way, why you're not getting a certain seat in your district, because they're undercounting you. Okay, so a judge ruled that the count could continue through the end of October and that the census officials could continue crunching the numbers through April 2021. But the Trump administration appealed to the US Supreme Court, which sided with the administration and allowed census field operations to end in October. They don't want our numbers to be represented. That's how and remember, they have a history of undercounting the Black community and overcounting the white community. They even admitted that. They know they overcount the white community. Okay. The appellate court suspended the judge's order on the deadline for the numbers to be used for congressional representation. That issue is still being litigated. The coalition that filed the lawsuit said the deadline was changed to ensure that the number crunching would take place while Trump was still in office, no matter the outcome of the presidential race. That would guarantee the enforcement of an order Trump issued in July seeking to exclude people who are in the country illegally from the numbers used to determine the distribution of congressional seats. Trump's order has been found unlawful and unconstitutional by 3 courts in New York, California, and Maryland. The Justice Department is appealing. After the Supreme Court decision, the local governments and advocacy groups documented other cases in which census takers were instructed to falsify information or to cut corners in order to finish the count. Under federal law, Census Bureau employees who make false statements can be fined up to $2,000 and imprisoned for up to 5 years. But census workers are rarely prosecuted for falsifying the census responses, since the Census Bureau is more concerned about identifying fraud and correcting mistakes than pursuing legal penalties, said Terry Ann Lothenthal. Okay, she was a former congressional staffer who specializes in the census. During the 2010 census, 2 managers in the Brooklyn Census office were fired for instructing workers to falsify questionnaires, requiring around 4,220 households to be recounted. Each time a national census winds down, the more difficult homes to count tend to generate a greater incidence of falsification. The Bureau's watchdog agency, the Office of Inspector General, said in 2010 in a report. For this year's census, an Office of Inspector General says it's evaluating the quality of the data counted. So they are evaluating anything that was collected. For the statisticians have not uncovered anything raising red flags. Jeremy German, the Census Bureau Deputy Director, said Thursday in a blog post. There are early signs that the pandemic affected college towns and that higher numbers of people fail to answer questions about the date of birth, sex, race, and Hispanic origin than in 2010, said Jarman. The Census Bureau said it reached 99.9% of the nation households. That is a damn lie, y'all. Look, nobody has come to my house knocking. They haven't come here. And I'm sure I'm not the only household that no one appeared to do the census. So, how the hell did they reach 99.9% ever? Not just this year, but even 10 years ago. I don't believe they reached that many households. But this is what they're reporting. I believe that's a straight up lie. With 2/3 of them responding online, by mail, or by phone, and a third being counted by census workers. I don't believe that. There's a lot of people that don't fill out these census forms for one reason or another. Some are, there's a lot of illegal Black people in this country from different nations, and they don't want to be caught. So they won't fill out, that kind of stuff out. And let's just be real. There's a lot of people that don't want to be bothered, and they won't fill it out. So for a lot of reasons, folks won't fill this thing out. A lot of people just simply don't trust the US government at all. Okay. So Ars outside Boston said census manager called her at the end of September to tell her a supervisor would be sending her some cases. Ars packed a lunch, expecting that she would be out in neighborhoods all day. But when the supervisor called, the supervisor said she would be working from her home. The supervisor then walked her through steps that would allow her to override the software on her mobile device so that she could close cases remotely away from the addresses in Framingham, Massachusetts, that she had been given, or said she didn't feel right what she was doing and objected, but she was told the cases had to be closed. Then she was instructed to go to the neighborhood, which appeared to be heavily Hispanic based, on the stores and restaurants. And she closed cases from her car by entering the mobile device. And she was unable to reach residents of households, even though she had not tried to knock on their door. So what she was essentially doing, y'all, was driving to the neighborhood, sitting in her car and fudging numbers. So, when I guess it was picked up where she was, it appeared that she was doing her job, but she wasn't doing her job at all. She was just sitting in the car punching in a bunch of fake numbers. The supervisor did not respond to a voicemail left Friday. In Indiana, Roberts said she was instructed to fill out information about households, even if she had not talked to any of the residents. Her supervisor wanted her to fill out and make up names and put down as a refusal, Roberts said. I did this from outside the house. So she just stood outside of somebody's house or was sitting in her car outside of their house and punched in fake names and numbers. Her supervisor did not respond to any email inquiry on Friday. She closed about 24 cases that way. Now she worries that the faith of the 2020 census numbers would be undermined because of the corners that that were cut. So they're not going to trust the numbers if you told them you cheated, she said. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of fakery going on. So then what's the point? What is the point in even doing the census if you're going to be faking up a bunch of numbers? But this is what they do in this society, y'all. They lie about everything. What's one more thing to lie about? Now you're going to lie about the population. You're not concerned. You're just telling people to punch in numbers. Art, thank you so much for the super sticker. So they really, to me, you really don't care about this census at all. If you're telling your workers out in the field to falsify stuff, then you don't care. Then why are you bothering everybody with this stuff to begin with? I mean, everything is corrupt. This is just another form of corruption. Here it is. No one should be shocked. Yeah. So you're paying these people a salary per hour to be out here lying and faking up numbers. I guess that's their job. But it made me laugh when I got to the part of the article where they said they have counted 99.9% of the population. We know that's a lie. They don't even count us right. All they conveniently do is keep throwing year after year, we're 13% of the population. But hey, at least now you got some clue to how they're doing it. They're falsifying the information from the jump. There you go. So, I mean, what can you really trust in this system? Nothing. Nothing. This is just more proof of that. Well, y'all, that's all I wanted to inform you of. Now we just see another form of fraud going on in America. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to keep you any longer. I thank each and every one of you for being here. I do appreciate you spending this time with me. And believe me, your presence make me happy. So, everybody have a wonderful day wherever you are in this country or in this world. And we'll be coming back to do this again. Tomorrow, I got another one lined up. The guy that actually bought Kyle Rittenhouse AR-15 was arrested. So we'll be coming back tomorrow. I'm going to do that also on live stream. And his name is Dominic Black. And we'll get into that tomorrow. All right. So just stay tuned and look out for that post. Peace, family.